Hello, 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 YouTube, and hello, Dr. Burke. This is for my presentation that I'm doing. Hello, Dr. Burke. I'm also just making this an informative YouTube video, so just to let you know now, please don't deduct no points. I'm just killing two birds with one stone. But I'm gonna play my music, and we're about to get into my presentation. Okay. This is about sleep and the amount of rest. So this is done by yours truly. I haven't really used slides like that. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Sleep and the Amount of Rest by Jalen Pill for Wellness for a Diverse Society. So let's talk about sleep. We will be comparing the countries USA, and United States of America, comparing it with Mexico. So, just to start off, sleep is a key determination of physical and mental health. It's good for you. It's good for you to sleep at a certain amount of time for body recovery after the kind of day you had. It's also really good for for you to have the full recommended amount, anywhere between 8 to 9 hours, I'd say. Here, chronic sleep is less than 7 hours per night, and it's linked to obesity, cardiovascular disease, depression, and reduced cognitive performance. And this presentation will help compare the sleep duration, as I mentioned before, between U.S. and Mexico. And so our goal today is just to understand the social determinants of health, influence, and sleep for these two countries. Moving on. All right, so we're going to talk about where the issue really stems from. Sleep duration has less than 7 hours per night. That's known as short sleep duration. That's the definition for it. The global problem, though, is that every 1 out of 3 adults worldwide doesn't get enough sleep. The consequences from that, as you see in front of you, is the increased risk of chronic illness. We have reduced productivity and academic performance. Road accidents and workplace injuries. And also, most affected groups are shift workers and low-income population, students, and urban residents. 1 second, I'm going to close my door. I know I'm getting a little loud, but I just wanted to speak about that real quick. Ooh. Sorry. I'm a little bit of a klutz right now. All right, let's talk about the USA. All right, United States, 35% of the U.S. adults report sleeping less than 7 hours per night. Sleep deprivation, has increased over the last 20 years. Higher rates among Black, Hispanic, and low-income populations as well. Let's kind of deep dive into that. Just going into the health disparities, lower income communities have more noise, crowding, and stress. Racial and ethnic disparities linked to discrimination, job strain, and neighborhood safety as well. We want to speak about the casual factors, which is just long work hours and multiple jobs, stress, anxiety, digital device use, so cell phones, laptops, computers, video games, all that play a role. Also, high prevalence in sleep disorders like sleep apnea, insomnia, things of that nature. Let's move on. So for Mexico, it's slightly different. You have the national survey reports about 20 to 30 adults are getting insufficient sleep. The average sleep duration tends to be slightly longer than the U.S., though urban areas show declining trends. So it's casual factors amongst that. It's just the long commutes in major cities. You got the high job demands and informal labor markets. You have cultural factors, which is like later bedtimes and late night meals, increased screen time and noise in dense urban areas. So you can kind of see the similarities and differences being compared amongst each other. It's health disparities with that. It's just the rural communities often sleep earlier, but may lack adequate sleeping environments. But urban low-income populations experience worse sleep due to noise population and insecure housing. So to basically break it down, you have the United States 35% to Mexico's 2030. They kind of even out right there. Its main causes, once again, for U.S. is stress, long work hours, and device use, along with shift work, compared to Mexico, which is just the long commutes that they have to do on top of their late work schedules and work instability. So, just the work, the industry kind of plays a part into the sleep. Its urban impact for the U.S. is this high sleep inequities, and even like especially severe in Mexico City as well. When we talk about the disparities, just the strong racial and socio-economic disparities for the United States. For Mexico, it's a little bit more of urban versus rural and their divide. And its trend for the United States is getting worse. But for Mexico, it's declining slightly in its major cities. So we do have some improvement. Oops. Alright. So the social determinants of health in the United States, SDOH for short, we're going to talk about the sleep pattern. So economic stability is low-wage workers often work multiple jobs, limiting its sleep. Education, lower education levels linked with worse or sleep hygiene and a higher job strain. Healthcare access, and limited access to diagnosis and treatment for sleep disorders. Its neighborhood environment, noise, crime, lack of green spaces, reduced sleep quality. Social contexts include stress, discrimination, and social isolation, worsen rest. So that's for the United States. For Mexico, on the flip side, it's its high rates of informal employment led into the irregular work hours and stress. Its education, knowledge of sleep hygiene may be limited in some countries. Healthcare access, sleep medicine is less accessible outside its major cities. Neighborhood environment is just noise pollution and overcrowding in urban centers. You have social and cultural factors, late night culture norms, and it influences the bedtime schedules. So it could be partying, they could just be date nights, whatever the case may be. Just touring the city at night, whatever the case may be. Just the late night behaviors is also contributing to that. And then to match it with our early work schedule as well, it's tough. But to compare the both, the key similarities, let's get into it. The economic instability and stress reduce sleep in both countries. Urban environmentalists worsen sleep, which is like its noise, long commutes, pollution. But the key differences for the USA, disparities linked to systematic racism and healthcare access. But for Mexico, informal labor and cultural schedules play a larger role. In the U.S., though, sleep deprivation is more widespread across the country compared to Mexico, where it varies more by location and really the city versus the more secluded and rural areas. But just to deep dive more into its health disparities between the U.S. and Mexico, just to provide like a more in-depth speak about it for the United States. Well, first I want to start. I just would have. Hold on, I'm sorry. I want to get into like its economic instability. That's a big issue. Education access and health literacy, healthcare access, neighborhood and built environment, and social community context. It's really the social determinant of it, compared to Mexico's economic stability, education access and health knowledge, healthcare access, neighborhood and built environment, and social cultural context. So they really kind of are similar with each other as far as those are concerned, and it really affects both of them. And its disparities kind of show in its results as well. But to kind of deep dive more into the health disparities into the United States, 30 to 40% of U.S. adults experience deficiencies each year. Case in point, I can kind of tell you different members of my family who had to get screenings and tests because of their sleep struggles and even how they sleep and the quality of their sleep. And I just have a personal inference. It probably does have a lot to do with the hard work that they do during the daytime. It even affects the more older people. I kind of have insomnia. I'm a late night person. And when I try to sleep early, I just can't fall asleep. My sleep schedule's thrown off, as is a lot of other college students too, but it really varies to each his own. But moving on, it's racial and ethnic minorities, especially black Americans, have shorter and poorer quality in sleep compared to white Americans. Low-income populations are more than likely to experience irregular sleep schedules, shift work, multiple jobs, reducing sleep time. Neighborhood factors is like noise, crowding, unsafe environments. Case in point, when you live in a really tough neighborhood, me being from Baltimore, I myself and other people can relate, just knowing how loud things can be. For certain people, shootings keep them awake. Constant police, sirens going off, or ambulance sirens. At a point in time, I did live near, a hospital, so you hear those all the time. Sometimes you might hear the helicopter over. And once again, that's just personal examples. That's not even no sources needed. That's just my own anecdote on that. Stress and discrimination contribute to chronic sleep loss and marginalized groups. Sleep disorders like insomnia and sleep apnea, as I mentioned before, are often underdiagnosed and undertreated in minority populations due to limited healthcare access, and these disparities worsen existing health inequities, which increases risk for chronic disease, mental health issues, reduced daily functioning. So that's just to recap a lot of the stuff that you see done in the United States and what they have to go through with their sleep disparities. Now moving on to Mexico, and I spoke a lot about its urban versus rural gap. Like adults in large cities like Mexico, Monterrey, Guadalajara report shorter sleep due to long communities, traffic, high noise population, while rural areas generally report earlier and slightly longer sleep. Socioeconomic inequality, low-income populations experience less sleep and poor quality rest because of the overcrowded housing, neighborhood noise, job instability, and shift-based informal work. Informal labor burden, a large portion of the workforce is informal jobs with irregular and unpredictable schedules, lowering sleep duration and consistency in sleep. Environmental stressors, like the major cities, as I mentioned before, they face chronic noise pollution, similar to the United States, but in their own way. Overcrowding, unsafe neighborhood environments, major contributors to its sleep loss. Limited access to sleep health care. Sleep disorders are underdiagnosed, especially outside urban medical centers, due to limited access to sleep specialized sleep clinics. I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue tied and I don't have my water with me. All right, cultural and social patterns. Like I mentioned before, late night meals and just the things you're doing late at night. Multi-generational households contribute to later bedtimes and less consolidated sleep, particularly in urban families. And that's just in Mexico, but I can even kind of relate to that myself in the black community as well. Just typically staying up late and kind of building a late night culture. With that being said, you also have just the youth sleep disparities. In Mexico, Mexican adolescents in urban areas show shorter sleep duration due to early school start times, high academic load, screen use in unsafe neighborhoods, and its health impact gap. Short sleep in Mexico basically strongly to higher rates in obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular risk, especially in lower income and urban populations. So that's the health disparities between the two areas. But as you can see, it's a lot you can really compare and contrast. And the apple really doesn't fall far from the tree between the two areas. And you see a lot of issues that happen in the United States also happen in Mexico. I'm sorry if the mic was loud. all these wires on here, but with like slight differences. But like I said, it's not that much of a difference when you really get down to the nitty gritty of what's going on between both areas. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot between both Mexico and also United States. Screen use. I feel like that's something that you see worldwide. People being up late on TikTok. People being up late on their phone. So screen use, loud neighborhoods. That's more of an urban thing. You don't really have to worry about that in a rural area. Like people have like a lot of farmland, or they have those houses that are just separated from like everyone else. It's not really a neighborhood, or even like quiet neighborhoods. I gave you examples of how it is in black neighborhoods. It could be a little bit similar in different areas in Mexico as well. I really don't know, and I can't relate, but I'm sure it could be the same reason. But whatever the case may be, just things being loud at night. It could be sirens, it could be helicopters, it can just be loud music that you see in a lot of urban areas, people playing their music loud. But to basically conclude this entire presentation, sleep deprivation is a major health concern in both countries. The U.S. has a higher nationwide prevalence, and Mexico's challenges, the more urban focus. Well, they are more urban focused, rather, I should say. Social determinants like income, environment, and work conditions drive most differences, and understanding the SDOH, helps identify effective interventions tailored to each country's needs. So these are the issues. I provided origins to how it starts and what goes on. I think the solutions, there's no real solution to a lot of these things. A lot of it is just, people's work schedules. Some people take like shifts that let out late for Mexico and their commute. It just provide more opportunities, I could say, for people to have jobs in closer areas or high paying jobs, or maybe being able to move, because my sources told me that like some people are driving anywhere between 1 to 3 hours on certain commutes, depending on what it is that they're doing. But yeah, a lot of it being that just school starting so early for students. Really, it's less about school, but more about the child monitoring their screen time and just being up late at night doing whatever that is that they're doing. So just cutting down the activity of the things that keep them up at night and really training their sleep schedule can really help them along the way. But yeah, that's it. That I got my sources, and that will conclude my presentation on sleep consumption between the United States and Mexico. I am Jalen Peel, and y'all have yourselves a good night.